Hey there everybody, just making some tiles today, and I figured I'd show you a little bit of that process. So, have a tile mold here, cast and plaster from Carved Master. I got my big old loaf of clay here, special blend. Took me a whole lot of different blending to get that just right, but we do what we can. So I'm just going to cut off a slug there. I like to mix that tile clay in small batches because it helps, I find it helps anyhow, if the clay has a little bit of softness to it, which if it sits around a bit can be kind of hard to achieve. So just get it generally preformed there and plug it down in. Just carefully push that into the corners there. The big thing is you just really don't want any little gaps not filled in there. We do what we can. Just gonna press that there like that. Just get me a handy dandy old cloth. Get a little stink bug off of it. Down here everything is filled with stink bugs this time of year. I just take my mallet and slowly work it into the mold. Just get it worked out good. Right from the middle out to the corners. And we just take a plank and put that over the top there. Really ram it down in. That just ensures that it's filling all that detail down in that mold. Don't want any little defects or anything, and there's an awful lot of texture. So I'm just going to fold up all those edges around there and take my little handy dandy handmade wire and just wiggle it down. Now when I first started playing with this, I was trying to get it just flush with the wire alone, and it would always give me a little hump back there, so well, I'll show you what I do now. I just pick up that excess, strike that off there, just clean up around the edges a bit. And I just take a wet plastic scraper there. The best way I've found to do it. Maybe you have some advice for me, I don't know. I'm a little new to this tile making, but it's a new adventure. The concept is, because when I have a piece of pottery or what have you, and it takes me a week or so to carve all these patterns on it, there's only so little I can sell that for, and I still have to pay myself. So by doing the tile, it allows me to offer a highly decorative piece, kind of useful for home use, and allow it a little cheaper, allow it a little less expensive, still with all the beauty. So I'm just going to move this over here. Ugh. And we'll get another mold. Oh! See, you caught me forgetting a step. Caught me forgetting a step. From there, I take a little piece of canvas. Take a little piece of canvas and put a little cloth over the top there. Just roll that over, and that just puts a little texture on the back there, just in case somebody wants to set it. Just if you want to put it on a kitchen backsplash or in your bathroom or wherever else you might want a tile mounted to a wall, just gives it a little bit of texture to bite onto. And that canvas just gives it just that little bit more you see there. I forgot one more step. You'll have to forgive me, I'm new to this whole making videos deal too. So I take my chop stamp. Of course, if you know my pottery, you'll recognize that. Just my little insignia and a little NC for North Carolina. Tell everybody where it came from. Alright. So that's all on there like that. And now I'll set that over here. And then we begin again. And usually I just take the scrap from the last tile and cut off a little bit more. Do a little bit of hand wedging. Really work it together. This hand wedging is a trick I learned from Felipe Ortega, the Apache potter I apprenticed under in northern New Mexico. Fortunately passed away a few years back, but many fond memories and certainly plenty of lessons to take with me. You see, it's just basically a spiral wedge. You have to be careful. You don't want to hurt your wrist doing it, which you can, but this clay is so soft and I'm doing it so little, it's not too bad. So once again, I'll get my little preform and plunk her down into the mold and just work her down into those corners. You want to work her down into the edges too. If you feel like you don't have quite enough material there, just work some down from the main pile. Really press her down in. I have to say, even though I'm a little new to this, I've really been enjoying the whole process of this tile making. It's a tradition that goes back a long time, and as I'm sure some of you know, and as I'm sure some of you'll learn, big old history nerd over here. I like my art history and history in general. Good thing to learn all that. Of course, a lot of my designs are historical patterns as well. So again, we'll take that board. And I'm sorry if that's a bit of a noise, me hitting it there, but processes can be noisy. Good to have a nice solid table, or you'd have a little earthquake in the video too. Once again, we fold that by and by. And you notice I'm not starting all the way at the edge. I'm starting right in the middle of the clay. Because if you start all the way at the edge, then it'll pull the clay of the tile away from the edge of the mold and cause you a little warp or defect there. And seeing as we're working so hard to not make defects, have to do everything just so. You know, just use the edge of your fingernail there. And there's no reason one has to mount a tile to the wall. You could certainly put it up on a shelf or cabinet, or use it as a trivet for a hot pot in the kitchen, for serving at the table. Could use it as a coaster, well, especially with some of the smaller square or round designs. Those are a little bit more coaster centric. But certainly just makes a nice little conversation piece. But how good would it look just putting up a whole backsplash or something like that? Getting into Better Homes and Gardens territory with that kind of house decoration. Of course, I just make the things. We don't keep much of a Better Homes and Gardens sort of thing around here. I've always said that's why I have to make beautiful things, is because I can't usually afford them. So it can be a bit of a feast or famine sort of thing, living the life of an artisan. Especially these days, so much competition. I never see competition from other artisans. It's competition from mass-produced. There's so many beautiful things. They're made very, very cheaply, and of course their quality usually isn't very good, but they're beautiful enough. But that can make life a little hard for old-fashioned artisans that are trying to make a living here. So look into your arts and crafts movement. Understand how all that goes. I'm just going to put my little chop again here. Now, I think I'm going to do a two-part video. I'm going to finish up the rest of this pile of molds. And then they have to sit for a few hours, stacked one on top of another, at least an hour or so. But I think I'm going to come back and do a part 2, showing you how I mold them and what they look like. How's that sound? Alright, well until then, y'all take care of yourself and come on back for part 2. Bye.